I feel better in my sweater. Because my office is freezing. Direct from Liverpool, the home of the 2023 Eurovision Song Contest, this is Pete from Eurovision. Let's go to Malta. Honestly, this is a brand new office built in our house, and the radiator is absolutely freezing. First world problems, I know. Anyway, right. Before we start, because we're going to talk about the Maltese entry, I want to give a big shout out to Andrew Dinnerly, and I hope I got his surname right there, who has done the amazing Eurovision themed thumbnails for these videos that will go on from this one. But if you watch my UK video, the Israel video, this one, and all the future reviews that we do, Andrew has done an amazing job of doing thumbnails for me using the sort of Eurovision branding. So thank you very much. Anyway, let's talk about Malta. Malta took part in the 70s in Eurovision and then didn't do that well and then dropped out, missed out most of the 80s, came back in the 90s in 1991, came close in 1998 and have been in the contest sort of ever since. They're being represented this year by a group called the Busker, and the song is called Dance Our Own Party. Now, with all the stuff that was going on in the Malta song competition, this one sort of slipped under the radar because there was disqualifications and whether Aiden was going to win or whether Checkmate was going to win. And in the end, this one won. So I've obviously heard this song before. I'm going to listen to the national final performance again. I've obviously heard the song before. There is no pretense here. And you obviously know what I'm going to think of it because I was singing it at the start. But here we go. This is the Busker with Dance Our Own Party. Well, what can I say? It's such a good song. No, I really like it. I say that a lot, don't I? As always, I've written my thoughts, and I've written them in an actual pen rather than a children's felt tip this time. My immediate thought was, did he swear? Did he say? Oh, I've written it down now. I can say it. I'm an adult. Fuck. It sounds like he said it. I think everything about the song is really good. It's an incredibly catchy song. It's an incredibly energetic song, and actually, the theme of the song is quite good as well. I mean, look, it's a song about the first verse is all about the anxieties of being in a social situation where things are too loud and things, and people are increasingly not wanting to take part in these sorts of things, and then they sit in giant arenas at Eurovision. But I've got a lot of time for that theme of song, of that sort of just wanting to talk to people and just hang out and chill and not be in a sort of loud environment and people getting social anxiety. I'm going to share a pathetic story now. I went to there was a Eurovision party held at the yacht club down the road, which is holding some excellent events during Eurovision week for anyone who can go. I'm not on commission from Mr. Darcy Entertains, but if they do hear this, they can, I don't know, give me a ticket or something. I don't know. Anyway, but they held a Eurovision party a couple of weeks ago, and I had a really good time. But I realised that I arrived by myself, and although I knew a few people who were coming, I didn't know who'd be there, and I had a small anxiety. Where I then went for a 20-minute walk just around the marina, stopped at a petrol station, bought a chicken burger out of a warm cabinet. It was dry and disgusting, before heading back outside, standing outside for about 5 or 10 minutes before actually summoning the courage to actually go in. So I have a lot of time for, oh, I'm pathetic. I have a lot of time for this song and that sort of theme of things. I like being sociable, but I sort of struggle with big numbers and noise and things. Although the photos that I then saw shows that a couple of Moretti's will get me to dance. And I think this is the song to dance to. I think I've deviated wildly because I do that, because you've got to fill the time somehow. No, I think this is just an outstanding song. Saxophone at Eurovision is an interesting thing. And obviously, most famously, we think of Sunstroke Project and their two songs that had saxophone solos in them. But I've got to be honest and say the saxophone here is much catchier, much better, much louder, much brassier than anything Sunstroke Project ever did. I'm going to get killed by the fandom for saying that, but I genuinely think you've got that opening of that that was, I can't reach it. This is not a good video today, is it? The thumbnails are brilliant though. But you're just hit with that sort of like dun 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 dun, and it's catchy and it's memorable. And then you've got a really good bass hook behind it all the way throughout as he's singing, and then in the sort of the pre-chorus, you have that which is just a really sort of nice, and it's followed with a really sort of funky sort of bass line and rhythm. And I got someone. I got someone to transcribe the bass line for me because I was going to practice it, and I'm absolutely terrible at it. And it's incredibly, well, I think it's incredibly difficult. And there's a lot of, if you go on the back page, there is a lot of rhythm going on there, and there's a lot of, it's pretty tricky stuff to try and play, which is why I failed. But my overall impression of the song is that it's an absolute toe tapper. I really enjoy it. It's something that would make me dance if there was enough Moretti inside me. I think the saxophone bit of it is brilliant. Let's talk about the staging of it. That thing of sort of compartmentalizing it into 3 acts, as they do in the national final. Do I hope they do that or not? Yeah, I do actually, because I think that's sort of neatly in the music video. You get a sense of that he's at this party, there's people in bow ties, and then how he escapes from it all. And you get a sense of that in the video of how the party hat and things. And I find that quite funny. You've got this sort of almost miserable looking person in a sort of jolly party hat. That sort of appeals to my sort of dark nature. The cardboard cutouts, I think that's a little bit too niche for the song contest. You'd have to know your Maltese entries, and obviously we as fans do. But perhaps not for the actual contest itself. The car driving thing that they do in the national final, I'm not too convinced. I don't know. It's kind of good, but it's just a bit. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's weird because I've written down here it's energetic whilst not energetic, because in the first 2 minutes of the song you've got this really energetic song that's performed not in a lackluster way, but there's a bit of moving about and things and stuff. But it's when it gets into that third minute of the song they change the outfits and there's lots of dancing and everything sort of builds up nicely. It becomes a very sort of energetic, and they're clearly enjoying themselves. They're clearly loving what they're doing, and why not? Because they've got an absolutely brilliant song. I think it's. I've run out of superlatives. Not that I use all that many, but it's a really enjoyable 3 minutes. What I would say is, if you listen to them obviously I use headphones to listen to these songs, and if you listen to the music video compared to the national final, the bass seems to hit you a bit more. So I'm not a sound engineer. I say this on every video. I'm not an expert in anything, but you sort of feel as though you need that sort of just to bring the bass a bit higher, a bit louder, just to really hit you with it. It just felt a little bit softer, but maybe it's just what I was listening to on the YouTube video. But yeah, I sound like I'm criticizing it. I'm really not. It's one of my go-to songs. I'll probably listen to it most days. I think it's a pretty cracking entry. How will it fare? Right. Well, song number 2 in semi-final 1, and I was in my kitchen watching the semi-final allocation, and shouted "Oh no!" so loudly that my children asked me what was wrong, which is a common occurrence in our house. Song number 2, right? So if you've seen my video on semi-final allocations and whether they impact, in the days when the draw was done in a random order, being song number 2 didn't really matter that much. You had a reasonable chance of qualifying. I think it was like 8 out of 10 songs. If you then go to the period where the producers start to decide the order of the songs, song number 2 virtually never qualified. I think only 2 songs have qualified from song number 2. Now, is that because the producers have gone, right, song number 2 is the deaf slot. We've decided it's for deaf slot, so we're going to put a bad song in there. I'm hoping the BBC, when they made their producer-led draw, have decided to dispense with this. And actually, semi-final 1, you've got Norway kicking it off with their quite big song, and then you've got this fun party song immediately after. So I think they're trying to keep the energy level going rather than sort of contrast Norway. The simple thing to do would be to stick something like Croatia into song 2, because you could all go, what is this? But actually, to keep that energy level high, so the first 2 songs, to have Queen of Kings and then have the Maltese entry, actually, I think that's quite a good move. And I'm hoping that in the televote era, people will pick up the phone for it and they will enjoy it, and as much as I have, and they will pick up the phone. And it's a 15-song semi-final, so you've only got to be better than 5 other songs, and I think Malta will do that. So I'm going to stick my neck on the line and say that Malta are going to break the curse of song number 2, and I think they will qualify for the final. And then how would they do if they get into the final? Well, that depends what mood the juries are in, isn't it? Depends what they're sort of looking for. Again, and it also depends what order in the draw they get if they got into the final. So I'm not even going to begin to think about that. The bottom line for me is that I really like this song, and I really hope the Busker qualifies. I hope they do well when they qualify for Saturday night. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Like, comment, share, and subscribe to Eurovision, where I bring you opinions and commentary direct from Liverpool, the home of the 2023 Eurovision Song Contest. I've been Pete, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.